to present a poem. What shall I do?
What will you do? Is this a question? Show that you know the poem and remind them what a poem it is. Well, you know what you must do. Go, confront the problem, fight, win, and call me when you get back, darling. I enjoy our visits.
Welcome to the Poetry Dojo,
where we learn to know our poems.
and learn to wield them to fight and win.
Today we are considering Make Way for Liberty by James Montgomery.
Who was James Montgomery?
James Montgomery was a Scottish poet who lived from 1771 to 1854. He is known for some hymns that he wrote later in life. He was imprisoned for sedition at one point by the British government, I believe.
A lot of Scots were.
Yes. He was specifically imprisoned for having published a poem celebrating the fall of the Bastille.
Ah,
He was also an abolitionist and held dear to his heart the cause of poor children chimney sweeps and thought that they should be taken care of. What is perhaps more interesting to this poem is the setting. It's unclear when this poem was written during James Montgomery's life, but it is about a 14th century battle between the cantons of Switzerland, who were sort of just coming together, and the Austrian armies of the Habsburgs. So they were kind of competing for territory. And
14th century.
14th century.
So that would be 1300s.
Mm-hmm. I believe it's 1386, somewhere in there.
Okay.
The Battle of Sempach, which is outside of Lucerne. The canton of Lucerne, or the city of Lucerne at that time, extended its protections to this region called Sempach. And the Habsburgs also wanted this region. The Habsburgs, I think, really wanted Lucerne. But they the armies ran into each other accidentally. They were kind of angling for a fight, but they kind of ran into each other before they were ready around the lake there. So they sort of hastily got their battle gear in order and went at it. And the Swiss were woefully underpowered. The Habsburgs had mercenaries and heavy armor. That might have actually been their undoing, as the heat of the day might have worn out the more heavily armored soldiers, whereas the Swiss peasants were a little bit lighter clad. But even from the very early days of remembering this battle and the Swiss overthrow of the Habsburgs...
Oh, you've given away the ending.
Oh, I've given away the ending, but we'll get there. It was celebrated as a miracle. Like, this victory was by the grace of God. We cannot explain it otherwise.
Let it be remembered that God fought for us.
That's the idea. And there is a legendary hero by the name of Arnold Winkelried, who it is unfortunate, is it not? If you are ever to be a hero, please.
All apologies to the Winkelrieds.
Yes, I'm sure it was a very dignified name at the time, but to us it just sounds funny. Arnold Winkelried, according to legend, threw himself on the pikes of the oncoming army in order to make a breach and open the way for the Swiss forces. So this is the story of heroic sacrifice in the cause of Swiss liberty. So there's a possibility that this poem was written in response to the French annexation of Switzerland in the early 19th century. Not quite sure. The dates, if we had firm, definite dates, we could probably say a little bit more definitively, but we don't. So that's our best guess.
Make Way for Liberty by James Montgomery. Make way for liberty, he cried. Make way for liberty, and died. In arms the Austrian phalanx stood, a living wall, a human wood, a wall where every conscious stone seemed to its kindred thousands grown, a rampart all assaults to bear, till time to dust their frames should wear. So still, so dense the Austrians stood, a living wall, a human wood. Impregnable their front appears, all horrent with projected spears, whose polished points before them shine from flank to flank. One brilliant line, bright as the breakers' splendors run along the billows to the sun. Opposed to these, a hovering band contended for their fatherland, peasants whose newfound strength had broke from manly necks the ignoble yoke, and beat their fetters into swords, on equal terms to fight their lords, and what insurgent rage had gained in many a mortal fray maintained. Marshaled once more at freedom's call, they came to conquer or to fall, where he who conquered, he who fell, was deemed a dead or living tell. Such virtue had that patriot breathed, so to the soil his soul bequeathed, that wheresoe'er his arrows flew, heroes in his own likeness grew, and warriors sprang from every sod, which his awakening footsteps trod. And now, the work of life and death hung on the passing of a breath. The fire of conflict burned within, the battle trembled to begin. Yet, while the Austrians held their ground, point for attack was nowhere found. Where'er the impatient Switzers gazed, the unbroken line of lances blazed. That line 'twere suicide to meet and perish at their tyrants' feet. How could they rest within their graves and leave their homes, the homes of slaves? Would not they feel their children tread with clanging chains above their head? It must not be. This day, this hour annihilates the invader's power. All Switzerland is in the field. She will not fly. She cannot yield. She must not fall. Her better fate here gives her an immortal date. Few were the numbers she could boast, but every freeman was a host, and felt as 'twere a secret known that one should turn the scale alone, while each unto himself was he on whose sole arm hung victory. It did depend on one, indeed. Behold him, Arnold Winkelried. There sounds not to the trump of fame the echo of a nobler name. Unmarked he stood amid the throng in rumination deep and long, till you might see with sudden grace the very thought come o'er his face, and by the motion of his form anticipate the bursting storm, and by the uplifting of his brow tell where the bolt would strike and how. But 'twas no sooner thought than done. The field was a moment won. "Make way for liberty," he cried, then ran with arms extended wide, as if his dearest friend to clasp. 10 spears he swept within his grasp. "Make way for liberty," he cried. Their keen points crossed from side to side. He bowed amidst them like a tree, and thus made way for liberty. Swift to the breach his comrades fly. "Make way for liberty," they cry, and through the Austrian phalanx dart as rushed the spears through Arnold's heart, while instantaneous as his fall, rout, ruin, panic seized them all. An earthquake could not overthrow a city with a surer blow. Thus Switzerland again was free. Thus, death made way for liberty. Make Way for Liberty by James Montgomery. It is a good poem.
Yes. It's rather lengthy, so making sure to pace your performance, not rising too quickly to the action.
In the third stanza, there is the line, "Where he who conquered, he who fell, was deemed a dead or living tell."
Capital
That is
T.
William Tell, one of the greatest heroes of Swiss history, of which we have both the story of William Tell being required to shoot the apple off the head of his son.
It was the tax collector, was it not, who demanded that of him?
That I cannot answer.
I believe historically the tax collector, the representative of an oppressive government, showed up and said he must perform this task. I believe William Tell set up the task and then turned and shot the tax collector.
There you go. Now,
there you go. Very Scottish thing to do, in my opinion.
Very Scottish thing, yes. Very Scottish thing for a Swiss man to do.
So there's some sympathy, some international sympathy
shared
among
sympathies.
The nations.
Sounds like a good American. Also, we have the William Tell Overture, which in an earlier generation was known as the Lone Ranger's theme, but that has, I think, long since passed. Nevertheless, your audience, being an American audience, may not be familiar with William Tell. If this had, at the time that this was written, you could drop his name and everybody would know. So when you reach that, you need to emphasize the name. You need to draw out those 4 letters and make it very clear to the audience, this is important. Listen to me. Dredge up what you know from your old history so that you can remember William Tell is the hero of which I speak.
It's a proper name. We're not talking about a poker tell or anything like that.
Anything like that.
Don't let your audience mistake that if you can help it.
Yes. Who was deemed a dead or living Tell. There's room for emotion in this poem, and the more that you're able to convey in it, the more you will seize the hearts of the judges and the win. We're not talking about a poker tell, but we are talking about a poetry win. So avail yourself of the emotion of the patriot, the lover of liberty, and season it well into your words, particularly as you draw to the end. You may stumble in the middle, not recommending it, but when you reach the end, you need to reach the end with power and emotion, with a love and appreciation for liberty, for whom your forefathers and others' forefathers died.
You have to commit on the refrain, make way for liberty. Don't hold back.
Yeah, this is a cry of freedom, not a whine of embarrassment. And familiarity of the poem will treat you very, very well. Be familiar so that you're able to get through Arnold Winkelried and deliver his name well.
Mm-hmm. You can really think about the shape of your vowels, because that can be the difference between, wow, what a funny name, and wow, what dignity. If you can shape the words in such a way that you take it seriously, your audience will take it seriously.
Make way for liberty.
Thank you for tuning in. This has been a Diecast Media Group production. Please recommend us to friends, family, relations, but not your competitors. Feel free to email us with questions at poetrydojo@diecastmediagroup.com. Tune in next time for another exciting episode and another fine poem.